What's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to take a side-by-side look with the 2022 Hyundai Sonata N Line, comparing it with the Toyota Camry TRD edition. Big shout out to Carolina Auto Direct. They're providing this Toyota Camry TRD for today's video. Take a look at their website, linked down below. They have a ridiculous selection. And then shout out to Hyundai for providing the Sonata. So these two are kind of the sporty versions of your typical family sedan, and we're going to see how these two differ and how they stack up head to head. If we go ahead and start with what is going to power each of these two cars, over on this Hyundai Sonata, you're going to find a turbocharged 4-cylinder 2.5 liter that makes 290 horsepower with 311 pound-feet of torque. This engine is paired to a dual clutch 8-speed automatic transmission and sends all of the power to the front wheels. Over on the Toyota Camry, we've gone a different route. This has a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 engine, cranking out 301 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque, paired to an 8-speed conventional torque converter automatic transmission and sending the power to the front wheels. The Hyundai weighs in a little over 3,500 pounds and can achieve 23 miles per gallon in the city with 33 out on the highway. The Camry weighs nearly identically at 3,500 pounds and can get 22 miles per gallon in the city and 32 out on the highway. And then both cars' base price is around $33,000, and as spec'd, you're looking closer to 35 MSRP. So now let's get into the exterior styling. I will say right off the bat, I think the TRD Camry is a little bit more sporty looking than the Hyundai. Let's come over and check it out. We have a really aggressive body kit. You can especially see this blacked out area all within the front bumper. You get some side pieces with a red pinstripe, really aggressive mesh. Certainly does stand out and does not look like your typical Camry. A cool set of headlights, some sharp lines along the hood. Then I really like the TRD wheels with the red brake calipers. You can also see the side skirt with the red striping. Pretty aggressive design. Full blacked out roof and mirror. They really did do quite a lot to add some aggression to this car, and I love how they made the roof come down to C-pillar, all in the two-tone design. And then at the rear of the car, you can see more of the ground effects all on this lower side. And then I especially like how we get a pedestal spoiler mounted up here. Pretty aggressive. It is a front-wheel drive car, so obviously not too functional, but it does actually look really good. Blacked out logos, a really aggressive diffuser, and even a dual TRD axle back exhaust. So we actually should have a pretty good sound coming out of the back end of a TRD Camry. So another look at the Camry. And then as we come over to the Hyundai now, this pretty much does look like the normal Sonata. It's not exactly aggressive or anything. It's a good looking car. You do get a lot of sharp lines, of course. You know, the rear end has a cool set of taillights with a spoiler all mounted on top. You do get a really cool quad exhaust with a diffuser down below. And then I will say the wheels are pretty cool with the N logo as well. Really nice multi-spoke design, two-tone. You do get somewhat of an aggressive side skirt as well, and then really sharp lines all within the car. The N Line badge is up front, and then you even get functional cutouts on the side portion of the bumper, and then the chrome trim all around the windows. Moving to the front now, massive blacked out grille, LED headlights, really cool sharp lines. So I think my vote is going to be on the Camry for the exterior looks. Not to say the Hyundai doesn't look sporty, but the body kit on the TRD is pretty sweet. So then moving on to the interior specifications now. So in the TRD Camry, you're gonna find black leather, red stitching, and red accents. You can see we got TRD embroidered in the headrest, really cool red stripe, and then you get a really cool material. It's like a fabric-y leather synthetic material in the center with all the striping. This is their synthetic leather, of course, but it does look really cool in here. Red stitching along the dashboard, TRD shift knob, you can get red stitching along the steering wheel. Let's head over to the Hyundai. I will say I like the Hyundai's interior much better. You get the cool leather synthetic material on the door panel with red stitching, so that's a nice plus. And then on these seats you get the two-tone leather and the Alcantara micro suede. I really, really love that. Has some good looking bolsters in it, the N Line. So I think this just does look a little bit cooler with the micro suede. You also get red stitching on it. And then now hopping into the Toyota Camry TRD edition, this is what the dash looks like. There's certainly a lot of sculpture to it, a lot of cool sharp lines. Get a pretty good looking screen in the center. It is touchscreen, of course. We have shortcuts on the left and the right side. Pretty straightforward in here, nothing too fancy I would say, but of course it's gonna get the job done and give you what you need. We can go ahead and put it into reverse. Backup camera, pretty HD. Not the most HD out there I would say, but you do get 2 different views on it. And then we can go back into park. Then on the gauge cluster, it's a little bit more traditional with the analog gauges on the left and right and a small LCD screen right in the center. And then hopping over into the Hyundai, first and foremost, you get a much larger center screen, all touchscreen, of course. I feel like there's a lot more going on with this navigation screen. Of course, you have nav, map, shortcuts on the side like you saw. If we go ahead and press the button, this will put us into reverse. The backup camera does look a little bit sharper. Neither of them, I would say, are super crazy. You get pretty much the same type of views. You get top down on this one, however. This one, you get a full LCD digital gauge cluster, which is pretty cool to see. You can also control the screen using the buttons on the steering wheel, of course. You get your boost gauge setups with some temperatures. You can also see some safety icons, navigation pops up, and then you can go through your basic things. So I think the Hyundai is a little bit more clean and modern. The Toyota is a little bit dated on the interior. So in the Camry, I do have really good knee room and foot room. The recline is decent on these seats. Obviously there's no adjustments or anything, but not too bad in here. Pretty big window behind you. No center armrest, so that is a downfall for sure. Left armrest is pretty good. You do get storage pockets, no air vents or anything, just a little bit of storage. So it's decent back here. Let's hop in the Hyundai. And in the Sonata N Line, already this is a much better back seat. So again, driver's seat set at my height. I think I have maybe just a tad more knee room. Doesn't really make much of a difference. Good armrest over on this left side. You get a little bit more windows, it looks. And then in the center, we do get an armrest that comes down with 2 cup holders. I think that's a really big plus. And then on top of that, we get climate control vents and a USB port down here. The seat angle, I'd say it's about the same. Moving to the trunk space now for the Sonata N Line. This has a really large trunk, and then as you're gonna see, I have the rear seats folded down. So this is certainly a really practical sedan. You get a nice flat load floor, big opening into the trunk, and even quite a lot of storage space up in front. If we head over to the Camry, for the life of me, I cannot find a way to fold down these rear seats. I do not think that they fold down whatsoever. I think that is actually a big negative for the Camry. That is very surprising. The trunk itself looks like it's about the exact same size, really wide in here, but the seats do not fold down. There's no levers or anything. So the Hyundai is of course much more practical with those seats being able to fold down. So we got a normally aspirated V6 with a torque converter automatic. We also do get TRD springs on here for suspension. So it'll be interesting to kind of tell the handling differences and then the power delivery and just the overall comfort. So we get power controls on the seats. You can get this in a pretty comfortable area, and you have manual controls on the steering wheel to get this in a good spot. But normal driving now, armrests are in a great place for just normal cruising. Pretty good visibility as well. All the mirrors seem to do what they need to do. You can see the hood, which is a pretty cool little touch. And then not really anything crazy for blind spots or anything like that. These seats feel really comfortable. I think they have really good padding, and I like the lumbar support in them. So I really do fit really comfortably in this car, just driving it in a relaxing setting like this. So we do have steering wheel paddle shifters on each car. So if I go into the manual mode, you can shift using the shifter down here or the paddle shifters, and then going into the sport mode, seems like throttle response instantly gets a little bit sharper. It seems to kind of manually or automatically shift for you even in manual mode, so it's more of a sport mode. So it doesn't seem to give me full control for manual. It's more of a sport mode that you can upshift. So that's kind of annoying so far. We have some twisty roads, we'll play with it. Road noise and things like that, it feels really comfortable going 55. and then hitting the brakes. We'll give it some gas and see what this naturally aspirated engine is like. So third gear. Not bad, gets up to about 65. Has a good sound. I really do like the TRD axleback back there. Has a really cool sound to it. And then even when we take some sharper turns. Yeah, my only complaint, it doesn't really give you a manual shift mode, even though we have paddle shifters. That's kind of odd. Like, it keeps downshifting in sport mode. It does carry the weight, you know, you can feel that higher end horsepower carrying itself. It feels a little bit like down low. It kind of takes some time getting there because the turbo engine, of course, is going to be a little bit more powerful down below. But normal driving like this, it certainly is a comfortable car. Makes some good sounds for being the sporty Camry. Obviously, it's not a real sports car or anything like that. But, you know, you do get a little extra fun factor. You know, steering is decently tight, actually. There's not really much body roll. So those springs are a nice touch for this TRD Camry. We'll do one more acceleration from a standstill. Kind of feel out this engine once more. Brakes bring us to a stop. And let's see if it goes into first. It doesn't really, like, I gotta go down into first gear. So from first gear, let's see if it lets me play with it. So kind of sluggish down below. Yeah, so my only complaints after driving this car now, a little sluggish down below because of just the basic engine, but you do get a little bit of top end to carry the weight. It's not a slow car, but obviously it's not a fast car either. But not too bad, pretty comfortable, cool car to drive. So like I mentioned, we now have a turbocharged 4-cylinder with a dual clutch automatic transmission and a pretty basic suspension in this, nothing too extra fancy. So getting my bearings with the comfort level on here, the seats honestly feel pretty comfortable, just like the Toyotas. I really do love the micro sway though. That's one of my favorite materials for the insert of a seat. So I still like that a lot. Armrests are in a great place, great visibility, just like in the Camry. I think you do get a little bit better visibility in this car with that extra window back there. The Toyota doesn't seem to have that. So the normal driving feels pretty quiet. Honestly, the wind noise feels less in this than the Camry. We're going, you know, a little over 50. So I think this is actually a little bit quieter. It feels a little softer just the way it's driving. So those TRD springs do give you just a little bit of an edge, I would say. Not to necessarily say that's a bad thing because it handled really flat. So we'll see what that is like in this car. Seats, we have power controls just like in the Camry. You can get them all in a nice position. And then same manual controls for the steering wheel here. And then for this, we have the drive mode. Let's go into the Sport Plus mode. And by just tapping the paddle shifter, we're now into the manual mode. This car does not shift for you when you're in manual. I like that a lot. I really don't know why the Camry, you can put it over into like sport and manual, but then it still shifts. This one, you can't really put it in there. You just hit the paddle and now you're in the manual mode, but it doesn't upshift right now. It should downshift as I slow down. Let's take a look and then we'll feel out the turbo power. Yep, so we've downshifted to third gear and we'll give it some juice. Way more torque. And the transmission noticeably shifts much quicker being a dual clutch than a torque converter. So for sure, I like that torque in this car. It's a lot. That's like around 30 pound-feet of torque difference. That is a pretty big deal when you're talking about cars, you know, that only make around 300 anyways. So steering is pretty tight. Feel a little bit of body sway that I did not quite feel in the Camry. It's not too bad. It's actually pretty flat for what it is for sure. But I do like the transmission better. We'll ring this one out a little bit. We'll do another slow speed. Much more torque. This feels a lot faster. After 5,000, it doesn't really feel like there's much left. It kind of falls out. I think the top end on that V6, you can feel it carrying up closer to redline. But I think this car does have a little bit more usable torque, being a turbo engine. And you do get one better MPG, city and highway. So that is also a little bit of a plus. And then we'll do the same, I guess, floor in second gear, feel it out compared to the Camry. Brakes do a pretty good job as well. So we're in second gear. Yeah, this feels a lot faster for sure. It even did squeal the tires a little bit. So this is quicker feeling for sure. And I feel like the seats are a little bit more soft feeling. I like the transmission better. Honestly, I'm liking this car on the inside a lot better than the Camry, not gonna lie. And we are back from the test drive with the Sonata N Line and the Camry TRD. So, comparing these two cars after taking a look inside and out, the storage space, and then driving them back to back with the POV cam on, honestly, I like the Hyundai a lot better. The turbo power is so much more fun to play with. It is a way more powerful, quicker car to drive. The torque you get from 2,000 up to like 5,000 RPM is really usable, and when you're driving around, that's where you're gonna be playing in the revs. The Camry does not have nearly the same power band in that low end. You can feel the extra top end, but you're never really redlining a car. So this car is much more fun to drive. The dual clutch transmission is much better than the torque converter as well, and I like how you can actually shift gears. This car, you can't really use the manual selection, which is kind of dumb. And then on top of that, the Hyundai seems a little bit more refined and comfortable, better technology on the interior as well. The Camry, I will say, looks a lot better. It looks so cool. I love the body kit, I love the spoiler, and I really do like the sound from the V6. The turbo engine is decent, nothing really too impressive about it, but I love the TRD exhaust. That sounds really cool. And then of course, reliability, you know, this Camry is gonna hit 300,000 miles pretty much without skipping a beat. The Hyundai might make it to 150,000 without starting to have some issues. So of course, this is gonna be a little bit better in the long term because of that more basic and old school interior and engine. But I think at the end of the day, the Hyundai was actually a lot more fun to drive, more usable, more comfortable, and a little bit better of a car. This is starting to show its age. Not to say it's a bad car, it's just starting to show some age. So there is a full look at the Hyundai Sonata N Line, comparing it to the Toyota Camry TRD. I wasn't too sure where I was gonna come at the end of this video comparing the two, but that Hyundai is a pretty cool car for in this segment. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Once again, shout out to Carolina Auto Direct for providing the Camry TRD for today's video, and then shout out to Hyundai for the Sonata for the week. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next video.